Hi, my name's Mike Page. I'm a reader in psychology in the School of Psychology in the University of Hertfordshire, although I have a background in engineering science. My first degree was in engineering. Up until now, I've been doing some quite detailed work in the study of human memory, but a couple of years ago I decided to redirect my interests to look at pro-environmental behavior change. That is, behavior change that helps people improve their performance, improve their carbon emissions effectively in response to the problems that we all know about in terms of global warming. I see the problem of global warming as somewhere halfway in between engineering and psychology, rather like myself. So I guess I consider myself well positioned with my qualifications and my background to make a contribution in that area. Engineering is fairly obvious in terms of global warming, producing new technologies which are more energy saving than previous technologies. But I think the psychology is actually even more important. Truth to tell, we have as many technologies as we need already to make a very, very large dent in our carbon emissions, but most people aren't using them. So that suggests that the problem is more one of behavior change than it is of technological change. So I've used this to try and develop my own leadership in this area by conducting a couple of projects, one called the EASIER project, EASIER standing for Environmental Assistance to SMEs in the Eastern region, SMEs being small and medium-sized enterprises or small businesses in common parlance. And we, as leading in that project, we go out to small businesses in the Eastern region and advise them on how they can cut their carbon emissions by 10 to 20%. That's our target cut, which is quite ambitious. We do that in a variety of ways by offering them the expertise from the university in terms of technological advice about heating systems and lighting systems, but also in getting them in a position where they can change anything about the behaviors that they exhibit at work. Most people find it difficult to change anything about themselves, the way they eat, whether they smoke or not, how much exercise they do. And these are fairly generic problems in the psychology of behavior change. So we've sought to adapt those to the problems of climate change, and we're playing a leading role in doing that in the country. Me as a leader, I've had to change myself. In leading this project and a couple of others which we're conducting, I've had to change quite radically what I was doing from fairly obscure academic research to much more practical, world-oriented research. And I think it's important that people who talk about leadership and change actually walk the walk as well as just talk the talk. I'm thinking, as I hope most leaders would, towards the long term. It seems quite clear to me that the problems, the environmental problems that we're facing, are not going to ease with time, but to get more pointed with time. And therefore, I think in leading in this area, I've tried to focus on where I think things are going and to suggest to leaders of other businesses where their interests lie in a low-energy future. So I suppose our role is to, with my colleagues, to inspire change in others, to give people the flexibility to change. We've talked about this in relation to what we call hot topics, HOT. They come in slightly the wrong order, but the first thing we do is try and, is the O. We try and make them aware of the opportunities that are available to them for changing and indeed saving money, saving energy. The T, we seek to look at the thoughts that currently block them from changing their behavior, the thoughts that keep them doing today what they did yesterday. And then the H, we look at the habits which constrain, the behavioral routines, the habits that all of us get into that stop them from changing today from what they did yesterday. So I guess that's a good way of summing up what we're trying to do in relation to the environment. We're trying to lead flexible behavior change for the benefit, we hope, of businesses and of the planet. So that's my pitch for the Leadership Hub. The prop I've chosen to illustrate what I think about leadership in the domain that we're trying to exercise leadership is an energy-saving light bulb. I had to make very clear, because it's so difficult to distinguish them now, that it is an energy-saving light bulb. Obviously, this relates to these issues that we're trying to address in terms of sustainability, energy saving, cost saving for businesses. A couple of other reasons why I chose it. One is it's often a metaphor for a bright idea. When a light bulb appears above someone's head, it's a good metaphor for an inspiration, a bright idea, an intelligent way of behaving. So that's a good metaphor for the leadership domain, I think. Also, the reason this is an energy efficient light bulb as opposed to an old-fashioned incandescent light bulb is it gives out more light than heat, which I think would be a good message for leaders of all sorts. Our politicians are often criticised for giving out more heat than light. So a change to more light than heat would be a positive thing, I think. It's also very resource efficient. Resource efficiency is something that I think is very important, particularly in the world going forward, when energy resources, for instance, will not be as abundant as they have been in the past. If you think of resource efficiency as the opposite of waste, I think no business or no leader would be wanting to be described as wasteful. So I would see the resource efficiency aspect of being at the opposite end of the pole. And it also reflects a long-term decision, long-termism rather than short-termism. This bulb might cost £2.50, whereas an incandescent bulb might cost 50p. Of course, the incandescent bulb might cost you 10p more a day. So very quickly it becomes a very bad investment, even though there's a certain amount of gratification in getting it so cheap in the first place. That, I think, would be a very bad model for a business that does the cheapest thing straight off, but doesn't look to the long term in terms of investment. So I would say that this very simple object represents an investment in the future and an investment in energy and cost savings of the sort that we want to encourage with the work that we're doing in our leadership roles.